Hey everyone! So today I want to talk about my rather recent love for contemporary novels and how it kind of became one of my favorite genres. So if you have been following my channel for a little while, you might know that I am a huge fantasy lover. And don't get me wrong, I still am. Fantasy will, I think, forever be my favorite genre. But especially in the last year, a lot has happened. Well, this sounds like super dramatic, but just a lot of changing and developing has been going on, and I would now say YA contemporary is probably my top 2 favorite genre, which is just something that I had never expected. So I thought today I would kind of talk about it and kind of tell you the story, kind of also explain it to myself, because I'm still not 100% sure where that change happened, but I just find it so interesting and so good. I'm just very happy with how everything has developed, so I just wanted to make a video about it. So I want to go back a little bit to when I was just a very casual reader, where I would read maybe 5 to 15 books a year and would kind of just love reading but not be the person who would pick up book after book. Back then I was actually reading quite a lot of adult contemporary and chick lit, because I didn't really know that YA existed, and that's a whole nother topic. Twilight came, everything changed. But for a long time I was actually really into contemporaries because I just love rom-com kind of things, and they just make me happy. So that's kind of what I read. But then there were always books that would make me feel different. I would enjoy reading these kinds of books, but then Twilight came along and it grabbed me so much I didn't even know what was happening to me. Outlander came along, which is such a huge book that I finished in no time at all. Harry Potter was something that I felt so special about. It was something that contemporary was never able to make me feel. And so I think over the years, especially when I then joined BookTube and was exposed to much more different genres and to YA as a genre, I just had this feeling that I was kind of sick of contemporary, and that contemporary is actually not a genre that I enjoy, simply because I couldn't find quite the enjoyment in it that I found in fantasy or dystopian at that point, or even historical fiction. So I think for a long time I just kind of went through the world thinking contemporary is not something I enjoy. I could probably just include a bunch of clips in here throughout my BookTube life where I say, normally I don't really read contemporary. I still read some YA contemporary. I read the Anna and the French Kiss trilogy and loved it. But for the most part, fantasy would always stay my favorite genre, because for a long time what was most important to me about reading was escaping. And escaping is still something that's very important to me while reading. But first of all, I have found ways to escape even in a book that is not set in our world. And also I have found a thing that I find almost as amazing as escaping, and that's relating. And I think that is where my shift to loving contemporary truly started. And I actually think the game changer was The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli, which I read last year in March. The Upside of Unrequited was a book where I think kind of for the first time I was able to truly relate to a character. And I still don't relate to every part of her identity, but so many of her thoughts and feelings and the things she went through. Sorry, I forgot to record external audio. The sound should be a little bit better now. Anyway, I never had that in any of the fantasy novels that I read, and I certainly never had it in any of the adult contemporaries that I read, because I read them at a time where I was still a teenager. And I think a lot of the love that I have for YA contemporary now is me catching up with being able to relate to these teens and young adults. In hindsight, it makes me feel less alone in my teenage years. I don't know, this probably comes across as really fucking sad, but I actually find it really, really great, and it makes me really hopeful and really happy. And I wish that these books had been out there in the way they are now, or that I had found more of these books when I was an actual teen. But finding them now still gives me so much comfort, and I still appreciate it so much. And I think that is why I feel so much more drawn to contemporary now. I think another huge factor was reading Ramona Blue by Julie Murphy. Reading that in a time where I was questioning my romantic and sexual attraction. I think was the first time that I realized how much a book could also help with all these things, and how, you know, relating to someone can sometimes also mean coming to terms with some of the things that you didn't really know. And well, I am a queer person who, you know, only realized in her 20s that she's actually queer. And sometimes I almost feel like I kind of want to project what a queer teen me could have been by reading some of these, you know, queer protagonists. I know how immensely helpful these books would have been to me if I had read them as a teen. And I'm just so glad that they exist now. And as I said, it still makes me realize so many things today. And I know a lot of people find it ridiculous when adults, you know, read YA and can like relate to these characters that are much younger than them. But like, these are all experiences that I went through too. And, you know, it's all things that I still very vividly remember. So I think The Upside of Unrequited was kind of opening the door, and then Ramona Blue is what made me actually step through it. I think once I kind of realized how much especially my queer identity would be found in, you know, contemporary books, that's kind of when I was truly falling in love with the genre. And now I am obviously head over heels. As I said, sometimes, you know, I see my teenage self in them, but sometimes I'm also reading it, I'm like, holy shit, that's still me today. And I don't know, yeah, I think it's just really great, and I feel like I'm definitely catching up on things that I didn't really get to have as a teen, but I'm also just finding it really, really helpful now. And I think every time I positively review a YA contemporary with any kind of marginalized representation in it, I support this book getting to a teen that maybe really needs it right now. And I think that's a lot of where my kind of thoughts also come from. Like, every book that I recommend might find its way to someone who really, really needs it. So yeah, I think that's kind of all of my thoughts that I had. I definitely went on more of a tangent than I wanted to, but as I said, it was not only kind of talking to you about it, it was also explaining it to me. And there were a couple of things that I was very much aware of and that I was kind of taking notes on so that I wouldn't forget to talk about them today. But I think especially the part of like kind of making it up to my teenage self is something that I wasn't really aware of, and that now makes a lot of sense. So yeah, let me know if you can relate to anything that I have said. If maybe you're also a young adult or an adult who still reads YA about people that are 5 years younger or so, and you still find yourself relating to it, you can see your teenage self in these characters. Also, if you're a teen, I would love to hear your experience about like YA today and about much more diversity that we're getting, but also maybe some diverse elements that you definitely think we should see more of in YA. And just, yeah, this is very much an open space for discussion about representation, about relating, about escaping, about all of these kinds of things. I want to have a chat with you. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I guess I'll see you soon.